Hi guys, today I'm back with another foundation review. Today it is all about the newest foundation from Makeup Forever, the Makeup Forever Reboot foundation. I've reviewed the Matte Velvet Skin, I've reviewed their Velvet Powder Foundation along with their Water Blend, I believe it was called. So those will all be linked down below if you're looking to compare this foundation to that one, as well if you kind of want to know my thoughts on some other more recent foundation launches. You can always check the foundation playlist down below or just search my name plus the foundation to see if I've reviewed it, and that way you can kind of compare my thoughts and how it looks. As always, I will be doing a flash photo test to show you application before and after, show you how it looks in natural light and how it looks at the end of the day. If you want to skip ahead, you can check the timestamps down below, and I will do a blog post on this as well, which will be linked up here and down below if you're trying to shade match yourself. I'll compare it to some Makeup Forever shades along with some other more popular foundations if you're trying to figure out your shade and you can't get into Sephora to get a shade match. But let's go ahead and get started. So the Makeup Forever Reboot foundation retails for $39 American and $51 Canadian. You're getting a full fluid ounce in here, which is the average size of a foundation. It's in a glass bottle, which is nice to kind of help you match yourself, but I believe over all of the Makeup Forever foundations they keep the naming conventions the same. I can't speak to if the shades are like always an exact spot on match from launch to launch, but I really feel like that helps make it easier for you to purchase, because if you were a match in one, you should be a match in another, or at least kind of know where to start. I hate when they start like mixing up shade names and stuff. It's just like, you know, let me buy it. Why are you making it hard for me to purchase? But speaking of shades, there are only 28 shades in here, which is good, but when you compare it to like some of the other Makeup Forever foundations, like the HD has 55 in there, I think some of the others have over 40. This does claim to be light coverage, so it's going to be more forgiving than something like a super full coverage foundation where you do want to have a spot on match, but I kind of expect more shades from Makeup Forever. So in this foundation today, I'm wearing Y412. I've worn 412 in some foundations. At times I've worn 425, I think, as well, but I do find this to be a really, really good match. There's also a brush that they sent me with this foundation. I have not tried the brush. I've been using primarily a sponge. So I'm gonna go ahead and prime this half of my face, and then we will jump into application. So I took out one pump of foundation. I think you can see it here. I feel like this has a good undertone for me. I like to wear more neutral foundations, and as you can see, I've definitely got some breakouts, which is not my preference, but perhaps I have these breakouts to make this foundation review more helpful for you, because if I had perfect skin, obviously it's gonna look good, so we can see how it will perform in covering these breakouts, as it is said to be a lighter coverage foundation. So I'm gonna use the buffing brush that they sent. I'm more of a sponge girl. Also, this pimple here, like, it's one of those pimples that just rejects makeup. I covered it up last night when I went out, or yesterday, but I'm not going to work hard to cover it, and I'm not going to dock this foundation for not covering it, as again, it is said to be a light coverage foundation. It's also recommended for normal to dry skin. I have kind of combo skin at the moment, and to me, I definitely can tell that there's a scent. If you've smelled any other Makeup Forever foundations, it just kind of smells in line with those. So I like that this brush is kind of like easy to hold, but I'm just going to switch back to a sponge. That's just my preference. Pretty much just focus it on my cheeks. That's the area that I need it. And this foundation is said to brighten, smooth, firm, hydrate, and even out the skin. And then on the Sephora website, sorry, it just has like a bunch of claims. It's got like ginseng to support natural collagen, Camellia japonica or japonica, depending on, helps to support the skin's natural glow, and mondo grass, which helps to support the skin's barrier. So it's supposed to be like hydrating and firming. I like the idea of a hydrating foundation. I don't feel like firming is something that I necessarily look for. Primarily I'm looking for how does it make my skin look and how does it wear, and I really love like a natural finish, as skin looking as possible, but something that lasts. So I think you can see it did a pretty good job covering things up. I've got a nice glow, and the shade match is quite good as well. It has a super light texture. You don't get a ton in a pump, which I like, so I used about 2 pumps on each side of my face. And I've really loved everything Makeup Forever has put out. I've yet to review the original HD or the stick. I need to review those. But I love all their other foundations that I've tried. they only put out one thing that I didn't like, and it was these kind of really, like, you know, those when paint themed lip colors were really popular. They came in a tube and they're like incredibly pigmented. Those came out, and the reason I didn't like them was they only came out in like really crazy colors. But Makeup Forever is, or was born as like an artistry brand, so some things just aren't as gonna be as well suited to the everyday gal like myself. So I really love the coverage and the finish that this gives. I think it feels really light on the skin. I think it looks really light. It looks really, really beautiful. The first time I tried this, I was like blown away. I could tell that this was probably something I was gonna really love, and this is not a first impression. I have tested this out several times. This will be like my full thoughts and review, but I'm gonna go ahead and take some flash photos, put on the rest of my makeup, and I will be right back. Okay, so I'm back with the rest of my makeup on now. I did just film a mini tutorial with some new NARS products and lip swatches, so that will be linked down below, and everything else that I'm wearing on my face will be linked down below. I did set my face with the Makeup Forever powder foundation, not a ton, but just to bump up the coverage, kind of lock things in place a little bit more. If you do have a more normal to dry skin type or more mature skin like they recommend this for, you can use obviously a lighter setting powder, no setting powder at all perhaps. That would never be the way I would go, but I can't really speak to that because I almost never don't set my face. So I think things look really good. You saw the before and after, you saw the close-up. It feels light, it looks light, but gives a really nice amount of coverage and some nice glow to the skin as well. In photos, I thought it looked really beautiful. Here in my studio lighting, you can see that sheen on the skin, but nothing that looks greasy. And then when I went into a dark room, I took a flash photo, I thought it performed very, very well. Because you can see my skin through, something like that is always going to be a little bit friendlier in flash photos, but it's going to of course depend on your powder that you use, your concealer, a number of different factors, how dark the room is, what kind of flash it actually is, but I thought it performed really nicely. So I'm going to continue wearing this for a few more hours, and I will check back with you in some natural light. Time for my midday check-in in some natural light. I think you can see that this is a really nice shade match. I meant to mention in the beginning of this video regarding the coverage on the Sephora website, it does list this foundation as having a light coverage. I would say it's definitely light medium. Like, you would never want to try and build this up a lot if you're trying to get a ton of coverage, especially if you do have an oilier skin type, but it feels like a little bit more coverage than a typical light coverage, definitely more than like a really light tinted moisturizer, but like some tinted moisturizers are high coverage. So it really varies. It depends on your experience, but you can get a beautiful light coverage out of this, but you can build it up, I would say, to like a light medium as well. So I do really, really like the coverage on it. I think it looks really good. It has not oxidized. It still feels really, really comfortable and looks really good, I think anyways. You can see this pimple is popping out. Like I said, I'm not going to dock any points for it because it's just one of those ones that won't quit. But yeah, things look good so far, so I will check back with you in a few hours at the end of the evening. Hello, coming to you at the end of the day with a bit of a shiny face, messy hair, and inside out shirt as normal, but I wanted to show you how everything looked. As you can see, I definitely do have some sheen to my skin. This was the side of my face that I primed with the new Urban Decay Ultra Matte Primer, and I feel like that did help keep some of the oils at bay. I have not blotted all day. I did not use a setting spray or anything like that, so I am just gonna lightly powder. I mean, I'm about to wash my face technically, but I will powder. As I mentioned earlier in this review, I have worn this foundation many times, and I actually really, really like it. I do look a little bit messy right now. I have had it on for like 12 hours. The times that I've worn this with a setting spray, but I just love the way that this looks on the skin. I think that if you have an oilier skin type, the best route to go for Makeup Forever that I've tried is the Matte Velvet Skin. That's incredible. It's going to give you some more coverage. If you're looking for something really, really lightweight, the Water Blend, but I think this is a great in-between for those of you that have normal or drier skin type. If you have a combo or an oily skin type, you may need to just kind of keep that in mind in terms of your prep, your primers, your powders, your setting sprays, but I really do like this. I love the way that this looks when it's applied. It wouldn't necessarily be a foundation that I'd be like, this is gonna last for an 18-hour day. Like, that would be my Matte Velvet Skin. That stuff sticks around and looks incredible at the end of the day. I did lose a little bit of coverage around my nose, but I lose that basically on every foundation, so I don't dock points there. And because I do have a slightly oilier skin type, because this is meant for normal to dry skin, I don't expect this to hold up incredibly well. If it does, it's a great bonus, but that also speaks to the fact that it's a little more hydrating, which I think will be a bonus to those of you that have normal to dry skin. So I really do enjoy this foundation. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. I think it's really, really gorgeous. It really, really looks like skin, but as I mentioned, for those of you that have an oilier skin type, something to keep in mind if you wanted to stick around for a longer period of time. But it definitely gets my thumbs up and another success from Makeup Forever in my opinion. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below what foundations you would like to see me review next. And if you'd like to connect with me, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at SamanthaJaneYT, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!